It's tough bringing up children on your own. Karen Griffith says her life has been made all the more difficult by a welfare trial, which controls the way she can spend her single-parent pension. How has it changed your life?
It's drastically changed my life, and not for the better.
Karen is one of 6,000 people living between Bundaberg and Hervey Bay forced onto a cashless debit card 2 years ago. It means she only gets 20% of her welfare payments in cash. The rest is quarantined to make sure she doesn't spend money on drugs, alcohol or gambling.
When you take the people that are already vulnerable and then you put a draconian policy like this on them, you know, there's going to be fallout. They have to expect that there's going to be fallout.
And yes, absolutely recognise this is difficult. There are people who don't support it. There are those who are idealistically opposed. But if the option is to do nothing, well, I'm not for that option.
The card applies to people on welfare under 36 and was designed to help tackle this Queensland region's high youth unemployment rate, one of the highest in the state. But evidence the card is solving the region's complex social problems is far from conclusive. Have you seen any hard evidence, have you seen any hard data to say that the card is actually working?
Not at this stage, but conversely I haven't seen any hard data that it's not working either.
This is a flawed approach.
The welfare trial was nearly stopped in the Senate late last year. A last-minute compromise with the crossbenchers allowed it to continue in Bundaberg and Hervey Bay and 3 remote communities for another 2 years. Karen Griffith stayed up to watch the parliamentary debate with the eldest of her 5 children.
My 10-year-old, she turned around and she's like, "It's just not fair, Mummy." I said, "I know, honey, but life was never made to be fair." Let's do Yahtzee, guys. I can see that there's definitely problems here, but to bring in something that is a blanket approach for everyone and tars everyone with the same brush, "Oh, you're a junkie, you've got addiction problems," and it's simply not the case.
When Karen Griffith spoke to 7:30 in 2019, she complained of not having enough cash for things like second-hand goods. She was embarrassed last year when she couldn't even pay a gold coin entrance fee to a school event.
It was quite traumatic for me. Like, I felt like a failure as a parent. I thought it was incredibly unfair that my kids were being punished for no fault of their own.
The people I deal with, and this is where I feel they've been targeted, are mostly single parents that have survived domestic violence. Those that have had to fight to get their autonomy back in the first place have now lost it again.
Supporters of the card say they are frustrated the welfare trial seems to get so much poor publicity.
You know, we do get both bad and good news stories, but I think somebody needs to talk about the good news stories. That's when we should have...
Glenn Miller runs an Aboriginal Men's Association and serves on a community reference group for the cashless welfare card.
Nobody's done a study into how many kids have benefited, how many kids now have food on the table because their parents who are on the card have to use the card to buy food instead of drugs, alcohol, tobacco or other things.
And that's the nub of the problem. After 2 years, the evidence is nearly all anecdotal. In 2019, this Hervey Bay charity told 7:30 the introduction of the card coincided with a dramatic drop in emergency food requests. But it can't say the trend continued because of the distorting effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. Why didn't we wait till there was more data available before we committed for another 2 years?
Well, once again, Corona has thrown a big spanner in the works right across the country, across the world. I'm for actually having a crack, as are most of the community.
Keith Pitt is the federal member for the Bundaberg and Hervey Bay region and one of the driving forces behind bringing the welfare trial to his Queensland electorate. He cites a drop in both unemployment and rental defaults as evidence the card is working.
But all the feedback I've had from people who are out there in frontline services has been very positive, very strong and very supportive.
This view is challenged by an independent survey of both Queensland trial participants and stakeholders, published 12 months ago.
But our study showed that there was not overwhelming community level support. The core factors that underlie addiction problems for people are not being addressed.
For the past 2 years, anyone who's on a cashless debit card can get help at official shop fronts like this community centre here in Bundaberg. Now, we've approached the people who run this centre. We've also approached community leaders who have all declined to comment. Some saying the issue is just too controversial. Do you think it has divided the community?
Oh, it probably has. It depends which side of the tracks you're on. I'm old school. I believe that social security is a benefit and a privilege, not a right.
The federal government has commissioned another survey of this region, which a spokesman said would be finalised in the coming months.
For those who are out there spreading misinformation, if what they said was true, I'd have a queue of 500 people out in front of my office. That's not the case. It's not what's happened. We're about making decisions around what the facts are and what the difference will be, and I'll continue to be supportive.
You're not going to solve unemployment by putting people on a card. You're not going to solve addiction by putting people on a card. You need to actually help them.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.